Hey everybody, this is Donnie here with Pvgna.com, and I'm bringing you another episode of Viewer Questions Answered. I'm going to try and keep it a little bit shorter this time, so I'm just going to answer a couple of questions and maybe make more regular videos with just less questions, so it's easier to digest on a regular basis. And these two questions are both about supports. So the first question is from Crystal Saldana, and he asks, what do you do if your teammates pick carries who can't gank? P.S. I'm just a C support guy. Well, let me just tell you, first of all, it's not just something that you encounter in SEA. It's across all regions and quite a bit of the MMR spectrum as well. So it's just something that you kind of have to deal with if you are playing solo queue and you don't, lock your lane, or even if you do lock your lane, sometimes people will pick a carry and, just say, forget you, I'm playing Juggernaut, or I'm playing whatever hero I want to play. So it's just something you have to deal with. And so my recommendation for that is, first of all, to, not criticize your team. Don't start off the game by saying, oh man, we got 4 carries, we lost, or thanks guys for making me the solo support. And nothing like that, just, it is what it is. You're just going to have to deal with it. And you can still win the game. You do have one thing going for you, and that is if you get farm on your heroes, you are going to win most of the time because you have 4 cores. You have 4 heroes that probably could all play the 1 or 2 position, and that means that they do very well with items. So, how do you get that to happen? Well, first of all, if you're still in the picking phase and you can make your pick still, you got to pick something that's a very well-rounded support. That means one that has defensive capabilities as well as the ability to incentivize your team to push, because that's one of the big things that you deal with in solo queue is that you can get objectives only if there's somebody to make your team do that. So a good example of that is a Dazzle or an Omni Knight or an Abaddon, because you can heal your team if they're low after a fight and be like, hey guys, we're here, let's just take this tower, and I can heal you to do it. So that's one option, is getting a hero that's both defensive and has the ability to promote offense for your team. So like I said, Dazzle, Omni Knight, Abaddon are all really good heroes for this. Now, I don't know if you want to have an Abaddon as a position 5. It's doable. You just, you can't play it like the Midas Octarine Radiance build that everybody's going these days as offlane Abaddon. But you just have to, keep your carries alive and enable them. And really that's your job as a support anyway. So you can kind of take the 4 carry draft as super training, like Goku with the weights on or whatever, for support. Because you're going to have to buy all the wards, you're going to have to buy all the detection, you're going to have to buy the smokes and make your team do stuff as a team. You're going to have to always have TP scrolls. There's a very good chance that you're going to TP to one lane to save a hero, and then at the same time your carry or offlane or whatever in the other lane is in trouble and they die, and then they blame you. But it's just like that. That's what is happening in this game. And you just have to kind of take a deep breath and just realize that it's super hard to support this way, but you can totally do it. So you might end up literally ending a game with boots, some wards, TP scroll, a magic wand, and that's another thing that you got to do is you got to buy really small stat efficient items. So even if it's a hero that you normally wouldn't buy drums on, or I think that Rod of Atos is a really good support item these days. That just because it gives you good stats, it's kind of expensive, but just little things that you can work towards. So obviously Magic Wand is really good. I think Drums is underrated as a support item if you're playing that hard position 5, and you can probably get it after taking a couple towers with your team. The point is that you have to really change up what you're doing. So if you're a CM, let's say you're playing Crystal Maiden and you have 4 cores on your team that you have to support, you can't jungle and you can't go Midas. And you can't rush a Blink Dagger. You literally have to just buy wards, get Tranquil Boots because they're cheap and they allow you to move around. Always have TP scrolls, and just rotate and try and keep your cores alive and get them to the point where they have enough items to win the game. So another approach that you can do is you can pick a hero that buffs up other heroes. So one is Ogre Magi is the most obvious one. If you've got like Juggernaut, PA, Storm Spirit, and another like right-clicking hero, and you have Bloodlust on them, they're super, super strong. So you can go that route. I wouldn't recommend playing like position 5 Magnus, but Empower is really good. But just something that you can give to your cores to make them even stronger. And also then Ogre Magi is a really good example because you are tanky and you can like sustain in lane pretty well and bully other people out of lane. And because you have 4 cores, your lanes are probably going to be pretty weak, assuming that one of them is in the jungle or you have like 2 really weak laning heroes. Let's say you have an Invoker and a Slark and a jungle Axe and I don't know, like Earthshaker in the offlane or something like that. Like that lineup is not great, but if you have an Ogre Magi, you can kind of help your Slark out who is weak in lane. And then once the Slark gets online, you have Bloodlust for him, and you have some tools to work with. So basically that's what you have to do when you have a 4-core lineup and you're the solo support. And you gotta just remember that, like, as a support, it's your job. It's not your job to get items. It's not your job to get kills. It's your job to provide vision and to keep your cores alive so that they can do damage. And if you can get off some spells, that's great. But primarily what you want to do is you want to position yourself as far back as possible to still be able to save your teammates. And always just have yourself in a position where you are not in danger. Because if you die, let's say you might even be like the only lockdown on the entire team. So if you die, then the fight is probably lost, at least until like the very later stages of the game. But by then you've already done your job as a support and you've gotten your carries to the late game where they have items and can probably, take team fights by themselves. So hope that answers your question. If you have anything else that you'd like to ask, feel free to leave it in the comment section. And this is just something that as a support player myself on a pretty regular basis, you have to deal with, regardless of what region or what MMR you play at, pretty much. So the next question is, where and when can I farm as a greedy support? So, and this is asked by Matthews Batista. So thank you for your question. And the answer to that is that finding farm is a little bit of an art form. It's basically all about being efficient. So let's say you're playing a Warlock or a Silencer who function well with items, or maybe like a Sand King position 4 who wants a Blink Dagger, or a Slardar position 4 who wants a Blink Dagger. Pretty much you need to be looking for opportunities where nothing else is happening on the map and then taking advantage of that. So, because it's your job as a support, and especially as one of those like fighting supports, to be in the fights, be in the action, be behind your carries as they're pushing so that you can be in the fight when it does happen. But, if there is nothing going on, you've got your carry in the jungle, maybe your mid player is split pushing one lane, and then your off laner is also in the jungle trying to get his Blink Dagger or something, but you also need to get your Blink Dagger. So you can't go to the jungle because it's already taken by 2 of the other heroes, and you're slightly less important than both of those heroes. So maybe you can go to another lane and split push that lane, and if you die, it happens, make sure to spend your unreliable gold as quickly as possible. But you can kind of take some more risks that your other teammates can't to find farm. Additionally, if you have taken an objective, let's say you've just pushed tier 2 with your team and you guys aren't capable of going high ground yet, and a number of your teammates are TPing back to base or to push out the other lanes, then maybe you can take a couple of the jungle camps on your way back to your secret shop or shrine or wherever is safe on your side of the map. Additionally, if you are a greedy support, practice your last hitting, because every last hit is extremely important for your progression in the game. And that means if you miss a last hit, you are probably not going to get the items that you want to get. So, you know, if you're playing Warlock and you just have a habit of going up to the wave and like putting Fatal Bonds on it and then just right-clicking aimlessly, it's not going to go very well for you. You need to make sure that you get all those last hits so you can either get your Midas or your Ags or Glimmer Cape or Force Staff or whatever it is that you really need to win that game, and make your hero come online. So practice your last hits. You know, be efficient at looking at what's going on. If there is nothing going on or you guys aren't planning on making a play, find a couple of camps and just take them with your spells. So, you know, there's probably going to be somebody with mana boots. You can always carry some. It's actually really good practice to carry some clarities and possibly even a salve just with you, because you are a support. So you usually have some item slots that you can, in even your backpack, you can keep these like consumables in. And if you do get low on mana or health, through taking some jungle camps on your way to pushing the next lane with your team, you can always then heal or regain your mana on your way there. And so that's really important. I guess possibly, you know, kind of a side point, but a really, really important point to make is that if you are farming as a greedy support, do not be late to the fight and do not show up to the fight with no mana. Because if you do either one of those two things, you have essentially completely ignored your job as a support. That's your first job, being a support. Being there to provide control, stuns, healing, whatever to your team. And your second job is to get items. So do your job first and foremost. And the best way to do that is to efficiently move around the map, taking camps or creeps in lane where you can, and staying as close to filled up as possible in health and mana, so you can be in position when you need to be in position and be able to do what you're supposed to do. So I hope that helps, and I hope you guys learned something from this episode. If it's too simple, let me know. If you'd like to cover more advanced stuff, let me know. Just, you know, if there's any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I apologize for the first video having super loud background music. I am just not going to put any background music in this video, and hopefully it sounds better. So we'll see you again with more viewer questions, and thank you for asking them. Thanks for supporting us, and you know, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe and like button, as it does help us put out more content on a regular basis. All right, good luck and have fun, guys.